Hello, and welcome to Vlogmas the 4th. So, as you can see, I've been watching some vlogs. Today, I've got 2 fur baby visitors. Yes, Purse. We've got Teddy here and Winnie. So, I'll show you. Let me show you. So, this is Teddy. Isn't he gorgeous? Look at that face. Now, he's a rescue from Romania. He was on the streets and Abby and Simon rescued him. And we've got Winnie. Winnie! There she is. It's Winnie. So, yeah, he's here till Abby finishes work. As is Winnie. She's going to be staying here for just under a couple of weeks because Abby, Simon and the girls are going with my ex and he's taking them to Disneyland, Florida. So I'm looking after Winnie. Teddy and Bailey are going to go in the kennels. Wally. But yeah, but he is a lovely dog. The bunnies are out and they've been fine with them. Wally, will you stop showing off? They're guests. Doesn't want to let Winnie on my lap. But they've been really good with the bunnies. So there you go. So like I mentioned yesterday, I want to show you my doll, well, some of my dolls, and the little doll cock quilt that I'd Christmas one that I'd made last year. So this is William. He's got a lovely face. I mean, some of you won't like dolls, but the girls don't. Mila doesn't, but Evie does. So got an old Tiny Tears, and we've got this little one here. She's like a rubber. And this is the Susan Stanley quilt. It was hand stitched, all but I did the quilting on the top on the machine. But look at those fabrics. So yeah. I made a little mattress and just a little pillow for the back. So yeah, I love this little cot for them. Really do. It's got a little boy there, and also the stickers that were actually on it, I don't know, faded away. So I did this on there. Couldn't cover it up completely, but that's okay. I'm happy with that. So there you go. So there. Teddy is just, oh, he's just so lovely. He really, really is. Bailey's at Simon's mum's. Yeah, I couldn't have them all. But Winnie's now snuggled up against me. Wally's here. The boss. You're the boss. So, let's do Advent. So we'll do my book one first. Oh, let's find number 4. There it is. This one here. Let's have a look at today's. The dog is Advent. In theirs, they've got they look like cat biscuits, the small one, round ones. So luckily enough, there is 5 in each one. So I managed to give to Teddy and Willie as well today. So that was nice. Abby's got Winnie an Advent to have here. But yeah. Let's have a look. What have we got? Oh, it's a magnet. It says, books are my cup of tea. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Oh, I like that. That is pretty. Okay. Now, you coming up again, Walls? Come on then. You coming? Wally, good boy. Should we see what's in Ivy's? Yeah? Okay. Let's sit down then. Right. So yesterday she got her panties. Let's see what she gets today. There we go. Number 4. Now, can we do the knot, Wally? You trying to help me? Okay. It's not for you, it's for Ivy. Hopefully it's something to wear. You're cheeky. We're getting there. Oh. There we are. We're in. Look at the slip of paper. Oh, there it is. Let's have a look what it says today. A beautiful festive skirt, perfect for Christmas. Oh, it's not dungarees. Oh, she changed it. It's okay though. Let's have a look at the skirt, shall we? I can always make her a pair of dungarees in the new year. Oh, she's got a gingham going on. Yeehaw. There it is. Isn't that cute? So let's put it on her. Make sure the seam goes at the back, Ivy. There we are. Oh, you do look very festive now. So sorry. I'll stop. Hold on. He stopped. There we go. Doesn't she look cute? But yeah, I'll make her some dungies in the new year. I'll see if I can find a pattern and make her a pair. But that is really cute. Let's take this number 1 tag off her now. Might have to cut this one. Let's see, shall we? Oh, no, we're okay. Hold on, Winnie. Let me just do this. Yeah, hold on. Good girl. We did it. Whoop. There we go. I think she needs, it would be nice if she had a little necklace going on. Or, I don't know, or we'll see. You don't know, she might get a scarf like Fig did. So there we go. Right, Winnie. Come here then. Oh. Do you want to go say hello? She looks very regal, doesn't she? You're very regal, love. You're regal. You're regal. See, they're going to, well, they've already been spoilt today anyway with treats, but she's going to be well and truly spoiled while she's here. Aren't you? Yeah. So you'll be seeing some with Winnie as well. What he's like. You're the baby. Yes. She's a guest. You've got to treat her nicely. Okay. So that's that. Oh, let's have a drink of my tea. So yesterday I got the little, oh crikey, Jack Frost Tree Farm Little House Needleworks out. I literally got my needle in the hole, and then I had a delivery, and that was it. Nothing else happened on there. I did a little bit more of my Advent. I didn't get to spin. I did a bit of my sock last night in bed. Let me show you. I did speak to Beth about the mittens, and she said, Mum, it's fine, I'll buy a pair. And I said, but I'll buy them. She said, Mum, it's fine. So yeah, she's just took, because I was just worried about her hands getting cold, and I thought, I'm not going to knit this fast enough. And I get very panicky about things. I know it's silly, but it's just the way I am. I didn't want to let her down. That's another thing I have problems with. But yeah, bless her. She was absolutely fine about it, so she's going to get a pair. So let me show you these. Well, it's getting a bit downcast now. Okay, so these are the Afterthought Heel Socks by Laura Lindman. And this is the Candy Cane by Twinkly Knits. I'm a little bit concerned because I'm not sure. Looking at it, it looks like it's going to be enough for another sock, but I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do, that's how far I've got. The stitch marker I have here, sorry, I'm all fingers and thumbs, is where that yarn's put there for the Afterthought heel. What I'm thinking is doing the Afterthought heel in a festive green, and I don't know if I do the toe, or if there might probably be enough for the toe. I'll work down and see what it looks like. If not, the toe might be the festive green as well. I know I've got some upstairs, so I'll get that out a bit later. I'll probably do it when Teddy's gone home. But I think that's going to look nice, don't you? It's going to look a bit elfy, isn't it? So yeah, that's what I'm going to do, so I know I have got enough yarn. I mean, it's a 50 gram. Anyway, I think that will look nice, and I think Candy would approve. So that's that. So I want to complete those 2 rows on my jog run and see if I can bind off today. I'm definitely going to do some Advent, and I'd like to spin a bit. I won't get it all spun today, it won't happen, but it's fine. I just want to enjoy it. Whether or not I'll get to put a stitch in, the cross stitch, we will see. So yeah, that's it till later, and then I'll be reading you the Christmas Carol. See you a bit later. Hello. So we're into the evening now, and Teddy's gone home now, and as you can see, we've got Winnie here, and yeah, nearly 2 weeks she'll be here for. Yeah, but she'll be well looked after, as you would know. So crafting wise, I haven't got much done at all. As the day's gone on, I'm just really hurting, but I finished the neckband on my jog run. I've just got to whip stitch it round now, so let me show you. So I'm going to do that tomorrow, and not sure if the buttons will get on there tomorrow. It'll probably be Friday, but let me show you. So that's how much I had to knit, and that folds over, and I'll catch it all the way around, and hold on, Rose. Hopefully, I'm hoping it's going to stand up as it shows on the picture, so we'll see. So yeah, hold on, Wolly Wolly, Wolly Woo. Oh, hello. Oh, yeah, okay. You're right, love. You're right. They've just had a bit of ham. Didn't you? Was it nice? Oh, it was yummy in the tummy, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Been a busy day, hasn't it, for you? All the other two doggies here. Yeah. Okay. Can you sit on my lap for a minute? Yeah. Mwah. Good boy. Come on then. That's a good boy. Oh. Okay. So the yarn has come for the knitted pouch. So I'll just remind you, this is a Rowan design. One of the other patterns out of the ebook that I printed off also was, just got all the pages sorted. So that's the pouch. And the other pattern that I did, I mean, I don't know why I printed it off, but I doubt if I'll get any done. But I just like the idea. So it's a Jolly Bobble garland. But I like, you know, you can put it on your tree, but I like the idea of wrapping it around your gifts. I just think that's a really lovely idea. But yeah, I just wanted to print it off. So the yarn's so nice. Let me show you. I think there was 3 different types of colours you could choose, but these are the ones I chose because, mind you, it does look different on there. It's supposed to be this, but no, it's not the same. So there's that one, which is the main, and that is, sorry about this. There's I'm not sure if that's the code is Z03 6000. It's Rowan felted tweed, 50 gram. But another one you could use is King Cole Tweed. I've used their yarn before and it's really nice. So yeah, you could use that. And there is other tweeds out there. And this is the other colour. And this is... Oh, perhaps it isn't the code then, because this has got the same code on it. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not much help there. But it's 50% wool, 25% alpaca, and 25% viscose. So there we go. They go nicely together though, don't they? So that is that. And the needles are, I think it was 3 3/4 needles. Yes, pair of 3 3/4 needles. And you need a zip, piece of lining. Well, I've got fabrics upstairs, and sewing thread. So I've just got to get the zip. But I just love that. I think that's so cute. There we go. Is on my hoodie. It's got ducks all on it. The amount of times it's washed, it's actually, you know, for me, but if he's not laying on it, the cat's laying on it. Keeps them happy. So that's that one. Let me put that one up there. Whoops. And I did a couple of rows on the advent. I'm hoping to do a little bit more tomorrow. I might do some a little bit this evening. I want to get some spinning done this evening. So there it is. The Strobelus. It sounded different when she was saying it. Strobelus. That's it, Strobelus. Still got that amount left. And you can just see I'm just starting to curve in there. Just see it very slightly. So yeah, it's going in there. There we go. So, oh, that up. How's that gone? I said I'd be using the minis that I bought to go with it because I only got a 12-day advent. Get my pouch. I love your pouch. It's so gorgeous. So I'm not, because there's, now what are these? These are 10 grams, whereas the 20s I've got there. So I'd have to put 2 in between. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because the colour that I got yesterday, oh, it's in the basket. Let me get it for you. the blue. Yeah. See, you know what I'm like with pink and lilac, but I don't think it's ready for that yet. Let's see what there is in my lucky dip bag that I got. Oh, sorry, Winnie. I might as well just put them all in the pouch. Because I need something to then lead on for the blue. I'm going to that. That's quite nice, isn't it? I think that one might be too light. Yeah, I think let's look at that one out, shall we? I think that's quite nice, isn't it? And the one to go with that, to lead to the blue, to make it that 20 grams there. No. This is a game and a half, isn't it? I think I'm going to have to get that knitted, then choose the next skein I'm going to put in there before the blue that I received. But yeah, I think that one. So we'll leave that out in the bag. There we go. Let's put all these back in. Little yarn sweet shop, isn't it? There we go. Right. Need that bag out now. Yeah, I might get a couple of more rows done this evening on that. We'll see. So we'll leave it there and we'll see how we go. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's have a little drink of my tea. So Jacob Marley has visited Scrooge, and he said the three spirits will be visit him over 3 nights. And so Scrooge's Ebenezer has gone to bed. So stave 2. The first of the 3 spirits. When Scrooge awoke, it was dark, that looking out of bed, he could scarcely distinguish the transparent window from the opaque walls of his chamber. He was endeavouring to pierce the darkness with his ferret eyes when the chimes of a neighbouring church struck the 4 quarters. So he listened for the hour. To his great astonishment, the heavy bell went on from 6 to 7, and from 7 to 8, and regularly up to 12, then stopped. 12. It was past 2 when he went to bed. The clock was wrong. An icicle must have got into the works. 12? He touched the spring of his repeater to correct this most preposterous clock. Its rapid little pulse beat 12 and stopped. "Why, it isn't possible," said Scrooge, "that I can have slept through a whole day and far into another night. It is impossible that anything has happened to the sun, and this is 12 at noon." The idea being an alarming one, he scrambled out of bed and groped his way to the window. He was obliged to rub the frost off with the sleeve of his dressing gown before he could see anything, and could see very little. All he could make out was that it was very foggy and extremely cold, and that there was no noise of people running to and fro and making a great stir, as there unquestionable would have been if night had beaten off bright day and taken possession of the world. This was a great relief, because 3 days after sight of this first of exchange pay to Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge, or his order, and so forth, would have become a mere United States security if there were no days to count by. Scrooge went to bed again, and thought and thought and thought it all over and over, and could make nothing of it. The more he thought, the more perplexed he was, and the more he endeavoured not to think, the more he thought. Sorry. Marley's ghost bothered him exceedingly. Every time he resolved within himself, after a mature inquiry, that it was all a dream, his mind flew back again like a strong spring released to its first position, and presented the same problem to be worked all through. Was it a dream or not? Scrooge lay in this state until the chime had gone 3/4 more, when he remembered on a sudden that the ghost had warned him of a visitation when the bell tolled 1. He resolved to lie awake until the hour was past, and considering that he could no more go to sleep than go to heaven, this was perhaps the wisest resolution in his power. The quarter was so long that he was more than once convinced he must have sunk into a doze unconsciously and missed the clock. At length it broke upon his listening ear. "Ding dong." "A quarter past," said Scrooge, counting. "Ding dong." "Half past," said Scrooge. "Ding dong." "A quarter to it," said Scrooge. "Ding dong." "The hour itself," said Scrooge triumphantly, "and nothing else." He spoke before the hour bell sounded, which it now did with a deep, dull, hollow, melancholy one. Light flashed up in the room upon the instant, and the curtains of his bed were drawn. The curtains of his bed were drawn aside. I tell you, by hand. Not the curtains at its feet, nor the curtains at its back, but those to which his face was addressed. The curtains of his bed were drawn aside, and Scrooge, starting up into a half-recuberant attitude, found himself face to face with the unearthly visitor who drew them. As close as it is to it as I am now to you, and I am standing in the spirit at your elbow. It was a strange figure, like a child, yet not so like a child as like an old man. Viewed through some supernatural medium, which gave him the appearance of having receded from the view and being diminished to a child's proportions. Its hair, which hung about its neck and down its back, was white, as if with age, and yet the face had not a wrinkle in it, and the tenderest bloom was on the skin. The arms were very long and muscular, the hands the same, as if it was Holdworth of uncommon strength. Its legs and feet, most delicately formed, were like those upper members bare. It wore a tunic of the purest white, and round its waist was bound a lustrous belt, the sheen of which was beautiful. It held a branch of fresh green holly in its hand, and in a singular contradiction of that wintry emblem, had its dress trimmed with summer flowers. But the strangest thing about it was that from the crown of its head there sprang a bright clear jet of light, by which all this was visible, and which was doubtless the occasion of its using, in its duller moments, a great extinguisher for a cap, which now held under its arm. Even this, though when Scrooge looked at it with increasing steadiness, was not its strangest quality, for, as its belt sparkled and glittered, now in one part and now in another, and what was light one instant at another time was dark, so the figure itself fluctuated in distinctiveness. Being now a thing with one arm, now with one leg, now with 20 legs, now a pair of legs, without a head, now a head without a body, of which dissolving parts no outline will be visible in the dense gloom wherein they melted away. And in the very wonder of this, it would be itself again distinct and clear as ever. "Are you the spirit, sir, whose coming was foretold to me?" asked Scrooge. "I am." The voice was soft and gentle. I should have said, "I am." Singularly low, as if, instead of being so close behind him, it were at a distance. "Who and what are you?" Scrooge demanded. "I am the ghost of Christmas past." "Long past?" inquired Scrooge, observant of its dwarfish stature. "No, your past." Perhaps Scrooge could not have told anybody why, if anybody could have asked him, but he had a special desire to see the spirit in his cap, and begged him to be covered. "What?" exclaimed the ghost. "Would you soon put out, with worldly hands, the light I give? Is it not enough that you are one of those whose passions made this cap, and forced me through the whole trains of years to swear it low upon my brow?" Scrooge reverently disclaimed all intention to offend, or any knowledge of having wilfully bonneted the spirit at any period of his life. He then made bold to inquire what business brought him there. "Your welfare," said the ghost. Scrooge expressed himself much obliged, but could not help thinking that a night of unbroken rest would have been more conducive to that end. The spirit must have heard him thinking, for it said immediately, "Your reclamation, then. Take heed." It put out its strong hand as it spoke, and clasped him gently by the arm. "Rise and walk with me." It would have been in vain for Scrooge to plead that the weather and the hour were not adapted to pedestrian purposes, but that bed was warm, and the thermometer a long way below freezing, and that he was clad but lightly in his slippers, dressing gown, and nightcap, and that he had a cold upon him at that time. The grasp, though gentle as a woman's hand, was not to be resisted. He rose, but finding that the spirit made towards the window, clasped its robe in supplication. "I'm a mortal," Scrooge remonstrated, "and liable to fall." "Bear but a touch of my hand there," said the spirit, laying it upon his heart, "and you shall be upheld in more than this." As the words were spoken, they passed through the wall and stood upon an open country road, with fields on either hand. The city had entirely vanished. Not a vestige of it was to be seen. The darkness and the mist had vanished with it, for it was a clear, cold winter day with snow upon the ground. "Good heaven!" said Scrooge, clasping his hands together as he looked about him. "I was bred in this place. I was a boy here." The spirit gazed upon him mildly. Its gentle touch, though it had been light and instantaneous, appeared, still present to the old man's sense of feeling. He was conscious of 1,000 odours floating in the air, each one connected with 1,000 thoughts and hopes and joys and cares long, long forgotten. "Your lip is trembling," said the ghost. "And what is that upon your cheek?" Scrooge muttered with an unusual catching in his voice that it was a pimple, and begged the ghost to lead him where he would. "You recollect the way?" inquired the spirit. "Remember it?" cried Scrooge with a fever. "I could walk it blindfold." "Strange to have forgotten it for so many years," observed me ghost. "Let us go on." They walked along the road, Scrooge recognising every gate and post and tree, until a little market town appeared in the distance, with its bridge, its church, and winding river. Some shaggy ponies now were seen trotting towards them with boys upon their backs, who called to other boys in the country gigs and carts driven by farmers. All these boys were in great spirits and shouted to each other until the broad fields were so full of merry music, and the crisp air laughed to hear it. "These are but shadows of the things that have been," said the ghost. "They have no consciousness of us." The jackoon travellers came on, and as they came, Scrooge knew and named every one. Why was he rejoiced beyond all bounds to see them? Why did his cold eye glisten and his heart leap up as they went past? Why was he filled with gladness when he heard them give each other Merry Christmas as they parted at crossroads and byways for their several homes? What was Merry Christmas to Scrooge? Out upon Merry Christmas. What good had it ever done to him? "The school is not quite deserted," said the ghost. "A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still." Scrooge said he knew it, and he sobbed. They left the high road by a well-remembered lane, and soon approached a mansion of dull red brick, with a little weathercock surmounted cupola on the roof, and a bell hanging on it. It was a large house, but one of broken fortunes, for the spacious offices were little used, their walls were damp and mossy, their windows broken, and their gates decayed. Fowls clucked and strutted in the stables, and the coach houses and sheds were overrun with grass. Nor was it retentive of its ancient state within, for entering the dreary hall and glancing through the open doors of many rooms, they found them poorly furnished, cold, and vast. There was an earthy savour in the air, a chilly bareness in the place, which associated itself somehow with too many getting up by candlelight and not too much to eat. They went, the ghost and Scrooge, across the hall to a door at the back of the house. It opened before them and disclosed a long, bare, melancholy room, made barer still by lines of plain deal forms and desks. At one of these a lonely boy was reading near a feeble fire, and Scrooge sat down upon a form and wept to see his poor forgotten self as he had used to be. Not a latent echo in the house, not a squeak and a scuffle from the mice behind the panelling, not a drip from the half-thawed water-spout in the dull yard behind, not a sigh among the leafless boughs of one despondent poplar, not the idle swinging of an empty storehouse door. No, not a clicking in the fire, but fell upon the heart of Scrooge with softening influence and gave a freer passage to his tears. The spirit touched him on the arm and pointed to his younger self, intent upon his reading. Suddenly, a man in foreign garments, wonderfully real and distinct to a look at, stood outside the window with an axe stuck in his belt and leading by the bridle as an ass laden with wood. "Why, it's Ali Baba!" Scrooge exclaimed in ecstasy. "It's dear old honest Ali Baba! Yes, yes, I know. One Christmas time, when yonder solitary child was left here all alone, he did come for the first time, just like that. Poor boy. And Valentine," said Scrooge, "and his wild brother Orson, there they go. And what's his name, who was put down in his drawers asleep at the gate of Damascus? Don't you see him? And the Sultan's groom turned upside down by the genie, sorry. There he is upon his head. Serve him right, I am glad of it. What business had he to be married to the princess?" To hear Scrooge expending all the earnest of his nature on such subjects in a most extraordinary voice between laughing and crying, and to see his heightened and excited face, would have been a surprise to his business friends in the city, indeed. "There's the parrot!" cried Scrooge. "Green body and yellow tail, with a thing like a lettuce growing out of the top of his head. There he is! Poor Robin Crusoe, he called him, when he came home again after sailing round the island. Poor Robinson Crusoe! Where have you been, Robinson Crusoe?" The man thought he was dreaming, but he wasn't. It was the parrot, you know. There goes Friday, running for his life to the little creek. "Hello, Hoop, hello!" Then, with a rapidity of transition, very foreign to his usual character, he said in pity for his former self, "Poor boy," and cried again. "I wish," Scrooge muttered, putting his hand in his pocket and looking about him, after drying his eyes with his cuff, "but it's too late now." "What is the matter?" asked the spirit. "Nothing," said Scrooge, "nothing. There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should like to have given him something, that's all." The ghost smiled thoughtfully and waved his hand, saying it as it did so, "Let us see another Christmas." Scrooge's former self grew larger at the words, and the room became a little darker and more dirty. The panels shrunk, the windows cracked, fragments of plaster fell out of the ceiling, and the naked laths was shown instead. But how all this was brought about, Scrooge knew no more than you do. He only knew that it was quite correct, that everything had happened so, that there he was, alone again, when all the other boys had gone home for the jolly holidays. He was not reading now, but walking up and down despairingly. Scrooge looked at the ghost, and with a mournful shaking of his head, glanced anxiously towards the door. It opened, and a little girl much younger than the boy came darting in, and putting her arms about his neck, and often kissing him, addressed him as her dear, dear brother. "I've come to bring you home, dear brother," said the child, clapping her tiny hands and bending down to laugh. "To bring you home, home, home." "Home, little Fran?" returned the boy. "Yes," said the child, brimful of glee. "Home for good and all. Home forever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be. That's home like heaven. He spoke so gently to me one dear night when I was going to bed, that I was not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home. And he said yes, you should, and sent me in a coach to bring you." "And you're to be a man," said the child, opening her eyes, "and are never to come back here. But first we to be together all Christmas long, and have the merriest time in all the world." "You're quite a woman, little Fran," exclaimed the boy. She clapped her hands and laughed, and tried to touch his head, but being too little, laughed again, and stood on tiptoe to embrace him. Then she began to drag him in her childish eagerness towards the door, and he, nothing loath to go, accompanied her. A terrible voice in the hall cried, "Bring down Master Scrooge's box there." And in the hall appeared the schoolmaster himself, who glared on Master Scrooge with a ferocious condescension, and threw him into a dreadful state of mind by shaking his hands with him. He then conveyed him and his sister into the veriest old well of a shivering best parlour that ever was seen, where the maps upon the wall and the celestial and terrestrial globes in the windows were waxy with cold. Here he produced a decanter of curiously light wine and a block of curiously heavy cake, and administered instalments of those dainties to the young people, at the same time sending out a meagre servant to offer a glass of something to the postboy, who answered that he thanked the gentleman, but if it was the same tap as he had tasted before, he had rather not. Master Scrooge's trunk being by this time tied on top of the chaise, the children bade the schoolmaster good-bye right willingly, and getting into it, drove gaily down the garden sweep, the quick wheels dashing the hoar frost and snow from the dark leaves of the evergreens like spray. Always a delicate creature, whom a breath might have withered, said the ghost, but she had a large heart. So she had, cried Scrooge. You're right. I will not gainsay it, spirit. God forbid. She died a woman, said the ghost, and had, as I think, children. One child, Scrooge returned. True, said the ghost. Your nephew. Scrooge seemed uneasy in his mind, and answered briefly, yes. Although they had but that moment left the school behind them, they were now in the busy thoroughfares of a city, where shadowy passengers passed and repassed, where shadowy carts and coaches battled for the way, and all the strife and tumult of a real city were. It was made plain enough by the dressing of the shops that here too it was Christmas time again, but it was evening, and the streets were lighted up. The ghost stopped at a certain warehouse door and asked Scrooge if he knew it. Know it? Said Scrooge. I was apprenticed here. So I'm going to stop there. And there's an illustration. So we are on page 51. So next they'll be going into the warehouse. So there you go. Drink my tea. I don't remember in any Christmas carols I've read or watched or listened to of a sailor with a parrot. Of any of you, let me know. Yeah, that was a bit different, wasn't it? So that's it till the morning. So what's the time? I hope you enjoy what bit of evening that's left. So I'll see you in the morning. Thank you for watching. Bye.